Just yesterday, I was watching Logic Before Authority channel. I like him. He usually has subjects that he's talking about that always interest me. So I was watching him, and it was a quick video. He just did it yesterday. He was talking about a comet that was just independently discovered within the last 3 or 4 days, so sometime last week. And the way he described it was it's a green comet that on September 23rd will be exiting going from Leo into Virgo and exiting out Virgo, the constellation. And he said September 23rd, that's when that's going to happen. And I was like, that date to me, September is a very interesting month period to me, but that date to me was recognizable, because I was like, that's when the revelations from the Bible, I believe it's Revelation 12 or 17, I can't remember what, I can look it up easily, I'll post it, but that's when the constellations of Leo and Virgo had Jupiter in the position of the womb of Virgo, and that was the only time that's happened in I think 50,000 years or something like that, and it won't happen again for as far as anyone can tell going forward in the future. So that was very that was shocking to me, that this green comet on the day that in 2017, the exact day that the revelations happen in the sky, will be happening this year, September 23rd, 2023, and it's exiting right where Jupiter was in the position of the womb of Virgo, the constellation. He didn't mention anything about the revelations in 2017 and how that is if that's connected. But to me, I mean, that's pretty much a dead. I don't know how to put it, but that was very extremely shocking to me. Like, this constellation, or this comet that nobody's ever heard of and discovered independently, mind you, is coming straight out of the womb of Virgo on the day of September 23rd, when they discovered that was identical to what Revelation 17 or 12, I can't remember again, said in the Bible. All right, and then I remember in 2017, everyone said the world was going to end on September 23rd, and then they said that in September 23rd, 2019. Then they said that in September 23rd, 2020. And then everyone really forgot about September 23rd because of what happened in 2019, 2020. People had plenty to worry about at that time, so nobody was really talking about September 23rd. But that really freaks me. I mean, I'm not scared or anything, but that's very telling that, what the heck? It's like exactly what a scenario would be for, nobody knows what a comet is, period. And this is very interesting, if you ask me. So I looked up that date, and sure enough, I came across Archaic's channel, who did and this was last year, almost a year, almost exactly a year ago. He did a whole thing about September 23rd, 2023. It's like a 40-minute video, and he puts, a lot together in that video, but he doesn't mention anything about the revelations that happened in 2017. And to me, how can that not be connected? And that's more than just a coincidence. That's like exactly what you would picture would be birthed in that exact area. That what happened in 2017 is going to happen almost exactly 6 years to the date. A green comet will be flying right out of the area where that would be, the speculation would be that's where Christ was, where Jupiter is, and then that's what they're describing. So super, super fascinating. And the timing of that couldn't possibly be any more perfect than this year. I mean, it is so ripe and prime right now for some sort of major event to happen. And there's so much distraction going on right now. Like, that would be perfect for something to enter and disrupt our infrastructure right now, whether it would cause major power outages or just the fact that they're saying it's like a fluorescent green comet that we will be able to see with our own eyes. It would be visible to the eye. To me, the color green symbolizes extreme energy. When I see, when I go to Lake Michigan and I see it's got that green tint to it, like, to me, that's just power and energy sitting right there. And green is such a important color when it comes to you look at symbolic or symbols in movies, and green's always represented. I did a whole video about how many movies just keep showing the color green as something spectacular. So just that right there is enough to pique my interest. But another thing that I've been following, what happened in 2017, I've been following for since it happened, and it was really very interesting to me. It's a super interesting subject, that this 7-year period that we're in from 2017 to 2024, and with the two eclipses, like, to me, that's a marker for an event or a time period that's very important. The way I viewed it is, we need to get everything we could possibly get out of the last 6 years. And I don't mean like stocking for not like toilet paper and food and canned goods. Like, that's something we can all do and should do, period, because of how quick things can turn around. But to me, it was more like a spiritual gathering of not only wisdom, knowledge, just your heart needs to be in the right place before this upcoming spring. let's say April, when the next solar eclipse in America will happen, and that's that 7-year period. But what they just announced, and again, I've been following this for 6 years now, and I've never heard this ever, is that when that solar eclipse happens in April of next year, the second great American solar eclipse, we will be able to see a comet that will be right next to the sun. And I've never, that was not ever talked about. I never heard anything like that until the last couple weeks. So I don't know if it's just because they can't follow comets, or you don't know how a comet moves. But that again is very coincidental. And now, because to me those things were connected. The Revelation sign in 2017, the solar eclipse in 2017, and the solar eclipse in April of 2024. So now this September 23rd date would fall right in line with the whole timeline that's right there. So yeah, that is a lot of coincidental things, and it's not really getting any coverage. So and then watching what Archaics was talking about, his data shows that's 2023, this year, September 2023, specifically September 23rd, 2023, specifically, according to Archaics, is absolutely going to be an event. He thinks our internet will be out for at least a week. And that seems to be enough energy to do something like that. And again, the time is so ripe right now for an event like that. I had my suspicions that, this winter would be very tough. And, I'm still pretty positive that 2024 will be probably the worst year we've ever had as a country, and will be extremely tough. I do not think there will be a presidential election. And again, the timing on that is just super, super coincidental. And I can go on for a long time about all the coincidences. I would, and this is not off subject. I was a pretty big fan of Game of Thrones, and a pretty big fan of the Avengers and Marvel comics. I didn't really like the movies as much as I would like to, but what I was even a bigger fan of was what I thought they were trying to tell us, because I thought both Game of Thrones and Avengers were extremely telling on where we're headed. And not only did Game of Thrones focus on, a comet, because when the comet came in Game of Thrones, that's when the dragons were born. So clearly they're associating a dragon with a comet, and history pretty much is identical, is saying the same thing. Wherever there's comets, there's fire. A lot of the time frame that they say these comets happened, cities were just destroyed, and civilizations were just wiped out. That's what they tell us about the dinosaurs, which to me were dragons. So there's a lot of connections you could make with the comets and dinosaurs, or comets and dragons, or dinosaurs. But even more so in Avengers, when Endgame, the last Avengers movie, when Endgame happened, it took place in 2023. and specifically the fall of 2023. So half the population was wiped out by Thanos in September, or in the fall of 2023. So to me, both those movies were connected. Are both Game of Thrones and Avengers were connected because they ended at the same time and almost started at the same time. They both lasted almost the exact same amount of time. You had the first Game of Thrones season and I think Iron Man come out almost, head on with each other. They both lasted about the same amount of years. And they ended within a week of each other. The Endgame came out and was done within a week of Game of Thrones' final episode. So, and another thing is, Tony Stark saved the world, and Arya Stark saved the world. And there's a lot of other things I could say about it, and a lot of other things that are freaking super weird about it, but just the fact that Endgame was dated for 2023 in the movie, that's when Thanos wiped out half the population. It's just a lot of connections, and Archaics goes through all the movies that have talked about September 23, all the movies that are based in 2023, which I can't remember. There was a couple of movies, all apocalyptic themed, that were based in 2023 that came out years ago. So there's a lot of thoughts to be had about that. But to me, that's very telling that we're headed towards a very interesting month here. And they've all been, ever since COVID, ever since 2017, excuse me, there has been just event after event. It's got weirder and weirder. And it can only get so weird. When's the end of the weirdness gonna happen? If we keep moving in this direction, nobody's even gonna want to be here in 5 years, if we even have 5 years of this craziness. And there's so much distraction going on that it is ripe right now for an event to happen that would just catch everybody off guard. But yeah, if something happened to the electrical grid or the internet, that would be not good. Not good at all. It'd be good in a way that finally, we can reassess what we're doing here, but it's not going to be like that, because I don't remember exactly what year it is, like 2013. My apartment complex that I lived in with my buddy, we were out of power for a week, and it took about 3 or 4 days to get used to it, because it was like 6 days. It took about like 3 or 4 days to get used to it, but then when the power, at that point, I was okay with it. I could start figuring things out and reassess how to live without power. But then as soon as you got used to it, that power popped right back on. And right before that, everybody was outside. Everybody was, talking to each other. Everybody had their windows open. It was kind of very peaceful, actually, and nice. And then as soon as the power came back on, you heard everybody shut their windows, and air conditioning came back on. Everybody's TV popped back on. So then it was like a ghost town outside. And me and my buddy just sat outside. We didn't pretend that the power. We still pretended that the power was out, and that was actually very peaceful, and hilarious too. But a lot to think about, and we're gonna see some skies that are gonna blow our minds, and the events that are happening daily are beautiful and terrifying at the same time. But a lot to think about. Take care.